Welcome to Sold with Webinars, a podcast that aims to uncover how the most successful experts, coaches, consultants, and e-course professionals sell their products and services with just one sales presentation or webinar. A simple sales webinar can transform the business and life of a solopreneur. And this podcast will show you how other experts just like you are generating 6 and 7 figures per year online with their webinars. So let's get started. Hey, what's going on, experts? It's Joel here, and welcome to another episode of Sold with Webinars. Guys and gals, you have got to listen to this episode. If I have never been more excited about a podcast episode as I am about this one. So I just recorded a solo episode for you guys about the analogy of bowls of fruit, Christmas presents, boxes, wrapping paper, and how that applies to your marketing. Okay. If you have ever struggled to get a response with your marketing and sales messages, you have to listen to this and you have to pay attention. This is probably one of the biggest breakthroughs that we've had in terms of educating our audience on how to look at their marketing, how to look at the way that they do business. Okay. I want you to pay attention to this because it can apply to everything in your business, especially webinars. So I want to just shut up. I want you guys to dive into this. You are going to love this tidbit. You're going to love this podcast. And at the end, if you liked it, I want you to email me and let me know what you liked about this show. Sound good? Do you promise? Email me when you get a chance and let me know what you thought about this episode. Let's get right to it. What's going on, experts? I've got a very special message for you guys today. I want to talk about something that, over the past couple of weeks, we've just been doing some amazing things. So much stuff has been happening in our business and working with some really, really amazing high-level clients. Yesterday, I had 4 one-on-one power offer calls with some of our new VIP clients that have joined the Perfect Expert. Today, I've got another 4. I've actually got 5. One had to reschedule, unfortunately. Totally cool. So I am working on their power offers and their language and their messaging and their market. And what's so fascinating is like we have people who are like taking this and they're instantly getting results. And like I don't say that lightly. When I say instantly, I mean same day, sometimes within an hour or 2 hours, like getting people to raise their hand, hop on the phone, ping them on Messenger, respond to them over email. Like this is the crux of everything that we are doing and the shifts that we're making in our business and how we're applying that to webinars, how we're applying that to mini webinars, and how we're applying that to organic stuff. It's been the biggest groundbreaking shift that I've seen in the marketing industry and the digital marketing industry in a very long time. So I want to break it down. I want to break down a specific example that is going to be very, very relevant as you apply this to your webinars. Like you can apply this to everything. You can apply this to anything that you want, right? It's all about getting response, right? Think about it. Direct response is about what? It's about getting response. It's about speaking to the responsiveness mind of your audience, getting them to trigger some sort of response or reaction to your message. That is the core crux of what direct response marketing is and conversion-based marketing. So I want to talk about what happens if people are not responding to your message, to your offers, to your webinars, to your ads. What do we do with that? Okay. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine reached out to me and I call this square peg round hole with a really, 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 really heavy persistent hammer. Okay. Square peg round hole and you can hit it as hard as you want. And eventually, yes, you're going to if you're hitting a square peg into a round hole with a really heavy hammer and you just don't quit, like, of course, if it's wood, like it's going to slowly but surely get, formed into that round hole. Your square peg will get shaved off because you're hitting it so many times, like it has nothing to do but to form. So your progress is going to be there. It's just going to be very slow and it's going to be very, very painful. I want to talk about one of my friends the other day who reached out to me. And he was having a really, really difficult time with his marketing. And he's like, man, I just can't and he's doing very well, by all intents and purposes, like has generated 6 figures a month. And he's validated his, an offer of his, and he's identified a market need, but his cost per acquisition is just through the roof, really, really high. And he never gave up, but he's like, man, I'm really, really struggling with this. Can you help me out? And so asked him a bunch of questions about what's going on. And I've seen their marketing, and I've seen some of their ads, and I've seen some of their groups. And so like I kind of have a rough idea of what he's trying to do. But the issue was that he was so in love with his box. He was so in love with his gift, his present, right? Think about Christmas or holidays, right? Whenever you get a present, right? I don't know if it doesn't matter what religion you are, but think about, whenever you get a present, let's say birthday or Christmas, right? You go downstairs, you look under the Christmas tree when you're a kid, and you see all of these presents wrapped up, right? And it's beautiful wrapping paper. They've got their bows. They've got that lid, the box of lid, and you get so excited. You run downstairs, you get so excited, and you're like, holy crap. You're so pumped about what's inside. And you go downstairs, and your parents say, okay, cool, go ahead and open it up. Right. So you open it up, and what's inside the box, but your toys, right? Or clothes, or something that you really wanted, or your video game system, right? And you just go bananas. You go bananas. And you're so excited. You're so excited. But here's the thing, right? Let's take a look at all parties involved with this. Now, if you're a parent right now and you celebrate Christmas or holidays, whatever it is, right? I can speak from personal experience. We'll sit down and when we're wrapping our son's presents, right? We as the parents love like the process of like wrapping the gift. Like we spend so much time. Like my wife loves to wrap it. She wants to make it perfect. She likes the bow. She likes to make it very, very pretty, and make sure the wrapping paper isn't crinkled and the tape is hidden. And so when our son looks at the presents, like we want it to be perfect for him to look at. And it's like we aren't really caring about what's inside the wrapping paper and what the toy is, but like our perception is like we want that to be perfect. We want the presentation to be perfect. Like we want our son to, like, we don't really say this, but it's like we want him to have like the best box possible. We want that to look so great. And like for us, it doesn't really matter what's on the inside. But for Dominic, my son, he only cares about what's on the inside, right? He doesn't care about the wrapping paper. So like he's just gonna rip it to shreds, and he's going to look inside the box, and then he's gonna open it up, and he's gonna go bananas when he sees the toy, right? So like as a lot of us, as we're trying to sell our products and our services, we are so focused on the shell. But what your audience really wants is the present inside the box. And if you are having a very, very high cost per customer acquisition, or you're not getting a response in your marketing material, I want you to think about that. Are you too in love with your product? Meaning the box, the present, or the wrapping paper, like the presentation, like the shell of the box, right? Your shell can be the system. It can be the methodology of whatever it is, but you're so in love with your product and your system, but you don't realize that people want what's inside the box, right? I use the same thing as like a bowl of fruit analogy or a bowl of candy. Like you put a bowl out there, and it can be all of various fruit and various candy. And you get a bunch of people who sit around the table, and, let's say there's bananas, grapes, apples, and oranges in there. Well, and there's like 6 people around the table. Well, one person's going to like the grapes and bananas, but not the apples and the oranges, right? So what's he going to go for? They're going to go for the grapes and the bananas, or whatever I said. Like they're going to go for what they like. And the next person over there is probably allergic to bananas, so he's going to go for everything else, right? You go around the table. Everyone around the table is going to have different tastes and different wants and different desires when they're looking at the same bowl of fruit, right? And let's say they all came to a party at your house. You're the one who put the bowl of fruit on the table. You're really excited about the presentation of the bowl of fruit. You really don't care all that much about what they like. You just want that bowl of fruit to serve a purpose, and you want it to look presentable. When in reality, the people who come to your party, all they're looking at is inside that bowl of fruit, what do they like and what can they eat, right? You're focused on the bowl and the presentation, the system of that process, and you're not focused on what are the components that the members of your party actually like. So let's go back to the story. Does that make sense? This is a huge shift for you guys. You're selling, You're selling the fruit, not the bowl in the presentation. You're selling the present inside the box, not the wrapping paper. And like when you get so in love with your system, a lot of times you start selling the bottle, you start selling the outside, you start selling the container and not the things that are inside the container, which is really what people want, right? So let's go back to my friend. So square peg, round hole, he's going over and over and over. All of his marketing messages are about what his product, like his methodology, and it just hasn't been resonating with people. Now you send this when you become, bullnose and you send that message over and over again, like eventually you're going to get people who are going to take you up on your offer, right? And they're going to say, okay, cool. Yep. I totally get it. But we made one simple shift and we started selling one of the pieces of fruit inside of his container, not even mentioning the container at all. But we sold one specific piece of fruit, and guess what happened? He had over 70 or 80 people raise their hand inside of his group, when the average response that he would get on a typical post was like 3 or 4 likes or maybe a comment here and there, like because he was trying to sell the dang freaking bowl. He wasn't trying to sell the fruit inside. And as soon as we picked out one specific piece of fruit that a good chunk of people were going to like, the floodgates opened. He had tons of people say, yes, that's exactly what I want. Like, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. So if you're falling flat on your messages, if you're falling flat on your marketing and you're not getting the response that people want, you have to figure out, what are the different pieces of fruit that are inside of my box that I know people may be interested in? What are those different pieces of fruit, and how can I extract that and offer those pieces of fruit to give them a taste of what's inside my bowl of fruit, my box? Does that make sense? Sell the fruit, don't sell the bowl. You sell the present and the toy, don't obsess over the wrapping paper in the box. Even though you're going to spend hours, on Christmas Eve or the days before Christmas, wrapping all those presents and making it look so presentable, so that your Christmas tree looks beautiful and all the presents around you. You're taking pictures about that whole presentation. How many of you take pictures of your Christmas tree set up with all the presents, right? Because that's what we care about, but that's not what our kids care about. Your kids care about what's inside that wrapping paper, inside the box. Think about it that way, and I guarantee you'll start to look at marketing and you'll get a guaranteed bigger response from your audience. That's what I've got for you guys today. This is a big shift for me, and it's a big shift for a lot of my private members, my VIP clients, and the people inside of the Perfect Expert, and we're applying all of this to webinars too. So I love you all. That's what I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this episode, hit me up at joel@thewebinaragency.com. Let me know what you thought about this episode, and we'll go from there. Take care. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to giving you the next one. If you're serious about launching your own sales webinar, here are a few resources to check out. For free access to the software that we built internally for the webinar agency to train our copywriters, head to soldwithwebinars.com to sign up for a free trial to the Webinar Vault and get access to regular webinar breakdowns that are generating hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one on your webinar project, head to thewebinaragency.com for more details. And finally, be sure to subscribe to my other podcast, Experts Unleashed, where I interview changemakers and entrepreneurs to discover how they create opportunity to turn their expertise into income. Be sure to join us next time, and I'll see you there.